I don't know how to do that.
Welcome to another episode of the Culture Controversial Podcast Sports Talk. I'm your co-host, Simply Nicholas 87, and my co-host, Ty H. Hey, for all new people. And for all new people that subscribe to the channel, we appreciate y'all, man. We are almost to our goal of 300 subscribers. So y'all keep subbing up, man. Keep it sharing the content. Keep interacting, man. We love it over here, man. So tonight is our annual. We've been doing this for a couple years now. 3-4 years now, I want to say.
Yeah.
Since ain't gonna beat the bearcats, man. I'm so mad that the answer record don't do this no more, but don't worry, I got y'all answer record. Don't worry, I do.
Well, let me go ahead and say this. I think I'm supposed to speak with them sometime tomorrow. So
wonderful.
It's getting better. Yes, sir.
All right. I'll take back what I see.
Yes, sir. We got to unite as one as answer, man. I mean, and I know we haven't got started yet, but we got to figure out how everyone can get on the same page, because right now we're just too subdivided.
I got you. I agree with it. I agree. But our special guest, well, basically, I ain't gonna say special guest because you basically part of the channel because you've been here numerous of times.
That's right.
Hey, I want to welcome y'all, Coach Jackson, in the building, man. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Doing great.
Good.
And we're getting ready for the kickoff of the new season, man. And I enjoy having these interviews because I like to see, because we came to the spring game. We got some film footage of that.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
That turned out real good, and I enjoy that. So people that hadn't seen it, it's still up on the channel. Y'all can go check it out. And it's really good, man. But we want to get some of your thoughts getting ready for the season, talk about the schedule, and more stuff ahead. Yeah. So I'll let Tyrell kick it off.
Yeah, I kind of want to go talk about the offseason. I know this offseason is probably a little different from prior off seasons. I'm not going to get into specific details, but I know this offseason, I mean, there's no good way to say it. I mean, you guys had an offseason with a heavy heart, probably the longest offseason you had.
Yeah.
Just from an emotional standpoint, man, with what's going on in the area, it's like I told you the other day when I was in your private, man, I sometimes I worry more about a lot of things a lot worse than torn ACL.
Yeah.
Just even looking at the past few weeks. And when you're overseeing young men, I'm sure sometimes your concern is making sure they're still with us to be at practice the next day, not necessarily whether they have a good practice. What's your message been to the young men as far as watching the company they keep and just staying here amongst us so we can have them and watch them grow?
Well, to be honest with you, Terrell, that's a tough message, man, because a lot of these kids go back to neighborhoods that we probably have forgotten about. I knew I was raised in one of those neighborhoods, and there's no nice way to say it. I mean, sometimes it's survival of the fittest, and you just try to get the guys to understand that, your decisions have consequences. At the beginning of this Monday, I had a long conversation with the guys about activity in the community and things that are going on and trying to keep them out of that fray. And that's why, all summer, we try to have those guys with us from 8 to 1. And we try to wear them out so when they get home, we want them to go to bed. We want to go lay down, not want to go out and hang with the guys or hang with the fellows, and I don't want to make it sound like Anson is a bad place. There's been some bad things that happened in Anson in this last, probably 4 or 5 months. Absolutely. But that happens all over the country.
True.
Right. So we're trying to get these guys, especially guys that we are encountering and deal with on a daily basis, to understand the importance of being a good person. That's one of the things that we talked about in spring ball. I don't want you to just become a good football player. I want you to become a good person. Because if you become a good person, everything else is going to fall in line. So the guys this summer, was up and down with the workouts. We had some seniors that wasn't there. I was disappointed, pretty much the whole summer. But since we've started, we went to mini camp about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we had some of those seniors to show up, and they've been busting their tails since then. I mean, I'd rather start late than never, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the numbers, as far as what you got, you feel like you at least have an adequate amount of guys where you have adequate amount of depth.
No, let me tell you something. We have, I think we counted up was like 26 juniors and
Oh,
seniors total.
I thought you were like 26 overall. I was like, Lord.
No, no, hold on. And we got like, I want to say it was 35 or 37 freshmen and sophomores. The freshman class is huge. I mean, there's a lot of kids in that on that JV team, So, uh, and it may be a little more than that, but we're averaging around 70 some kids total, if
Okay.
that makes sense. So we got a lot more JV guys than we do varsity guys. So we're gonna have to 8 quarter this year.
Yeah, I mean that's good for the future though. At least I
Yeah.
know we're in win now mode, but at the same time, you got a good
Yeah.
pipeline. If you
Yeah.
can keep those guys there, and I hate to say it, but keep them amongst the
They,
list. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I promise you I'm not. But
no, well, I'm not taking it as a jerk. Some people may, but I mean, and I don't mean to cut you off, but honestly, uh, what you said earlier, it makes sense to me, and that's how I feel. I'm more worried about them coming back more so than a ACL tear. We want them to, when they leave us, they're making good decisions on a daily basis, and that's something that I harp on. Uh, it's just hard because you don't know what they're going home to. Sometimes you don't know where they are after hours.
yeah, and one more thing, Nick, before I turn it over to you, do you
Okay.
do you feel like the guys are given the what the atmosphere has been like the last few weeks? Do you feel like the guys are like anxious to get out there on the field, like this is their sanctuary, like they can't wait to get out there because this is their escape?
I would like to say yes, but I can't answer that question honestly, you know, because as I said, I mean, the guys that start coming, they seem to be excited, where I'm coming from,
Yeah,
but they had a whole summer of some of them, I would say, had a whole summer of just, where were you? Where are you? What are you doing? If they're playing another sport, because like we have some guys that play basketball, I have no problem with that. All I ask is that come to the weight room, come do your conditioning. You don't have to do anything else. Just come be around us for a little bit. Have guys that are gonna play baseball. I support that 110%. So I don't want football to be the end all be all for
Oh,
these guys. I want to be a big part of them. Don't get me wrong, but I want them to enjoy life because as we can see from these last several months, that life is really short for some of our young black men. Honestly,
yeah.
you know.
I wanted to ask you a question. The motto for the camp this year, I was looking on the schedule. Could you tell us what that motto is? Because I know it's a meaning behind it.
Yeah, well, uncomfortable is what referring to. Well, I think everybody just got comfortable because of COVID. I'm coming from, and it's hard to recover.
Yeah.
So, what I've been doing and what the coaching staff I told them I want them to do. I want everybody to be uncomfortable out there. I'm uncomfortable. I want them uncomfortable. I want the coaches uncomfortable. So it's not as conventional as it has been. So I want a little more up tempo, a little more intensity, and it's been going well. The guys that have been there, they've been working hard. I'll be honest with you, and I can't do anything but brag on that freshman class. Those parents have done a great job because they had them there just about every day this summer.
And
You
that's a
know,
good
and
thing.
that's a blessing, and something that we've been able to do. We start, once again, we're gonna make sure we feed them before we leave them. If we're gonna keep them from 8 to 1, and those kids, they seem to they've gravitated towards that, So it's been some good things that has taken place. But that motto, uncomfortable, I don't want nobody to feel like they've made it. So if I'm uncomfortable, everybody needs to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
I hear you.
So let's I'm not gonna get into like the offensive scheme, but like I said, we came to the spring game. I like the quarterback. I'm just be honest with you. I like a lot of stuff that I've seen from.
Mhm.
Could you tell me the progression that you've seen from last year to this year with Mr. Hyde?
Well, it's not really enough you can say about the kid because he's the hardest working kid in the program. And behind him, the next kid's a sophomore. Well, he's a sophomore now. Those two guys, morning workouts, they've been there, gotten stronger. I mean, heck, Luke ended up being the strongest bench guy uh, in the program at the end of the spring, and the guy behind him was a freshman at the time. So but they really pushed each other, and they've worked hard. So the progression that I've seen from Luke Hyatt, he's always been working, but he's gotten a lot stronger, and I think he has a little more confidence than he's had in a long time.
Okay. Terry?
Yeah, with him, the potential is there. This is senior year for him. I remember this draw comparison. I remember when Wesley Lear, they're both similar parallels. Wesley Lear kind of came in the middle of his freshman year, similar to how Hyatt, young Hyatt did. And when Wesley Lear was quarterback during his freshman, sophomore, junior year, there were flashes of good moments. Then there were moments where there was opportunity to learn from as well. And there were ups and downs. And when Wesley Lear went through his downs, he came up a senior year. Well, he had a decent junior year too, but he came back a senior year and had a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of similar traits in young Luke Hyatt?
I do.
Wesley Lear when it comes from how Wesley progressed from his freshman year to his senior year in comparison to how young Hyatt's progressing from his freshman to senior year.
Yes. I mean, make no mistake about it. Wesley Lear was a dog for us, okay? And Luke has worked himself into a dog kennel. So, I mean, yes, I see. Like the other day, we had a play call where he had to run the ball, and his acceleration just looked so great in the hole. I know we're not hitting, but he had a different gear that looked really, really good. I mean, it got me really excited about him, So not just throwing the ball, running the ball as well, And so I guess we just have to wait and see how he performs because I have faith in him. I've supported him from his freshman year because I too feel like he and Wesley had the same type track as far as their progression at Anson High School at the quarterback position.
Yeah, another thing I'll say, last year I always felt like this. I thought there were games that from the naked eye, if you weren't paying attention to the detail, you might look and say like, wow, I don't see. And I'm speaking from a fan perspective. I'm not saying this is reflective of them, but from the naked eye, you might say, wow, like I don't get it. Like what's so special? But then at the same time, there were times where he wasn't necessarily getting good protection up front. There were times that talented playmakers at the time were having a lot of drops and things like that. I'm talking about elements that are beyond his control. And then sometimes I wonder that caused him to force things later on because of that rapport not gelling like you wanted it to when it's to the point where you may have necessarily not trusted the playmaker to make a play. And I wonder if that kind of what led to that avalanche stretch of games when there was struggle. But I always wondered that. And the last thing is one thing I like about it, when he went through that, his composure and everything stayed the same. And I like in that game against Parkwood after my man, big quarterback, the big Tebow guy, after he got hurt against Parkwood, Hyatt came back in the game and almost let us back to the game. And he seemed like he was poised. Didn't seem like he was shaken by what happened in the middle of the season. Are those things that stick with you as his head coach when you're evaluating going into this year?
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing that I would say about Luke is I think he understands the importance of knowing what his role is to the team. You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And something that I've been harping on with him since he was a sophomore, to be honest, is that I need for him to, one thing Wesley Lear would do is take charge of that huddle. You know where I'm coming from? Now, and the guys love Luke, they respect Luke, and they look up to Luke. Luke just need to make sure he can put his foot down and say, damn it, this is the way it's going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that stretch that we went through, none of that from Luke to the guys that were dropping balls and the mistakes that were made. I wear all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to cover my guys because, for one, I love football, but I love people more than football. Does that make sense? Yeah. And Luke is a kid that has given me all he has. I mean, even through his mistakes, when he made them, he stayed the course. He kept working. And that's what I love about Luke Hyatt. He never stops working.
Gotcha. Speaking of playmakers, those playmakers I was talking about have a world of potential. There's a few names that I'm excited about where I want to see do you have that same excitement. A couple of names I think one guy, I can't think of his first name, but running back Griffin. He was hurt, nicked up a lot of last year.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you got him healthy this year. A healthy Griffin, a Kendrick May who will be a junior coming up. The wide receiver number 19, Little, and wide receiver number 10, Sturtevant. Those 4 playmakers. If those guys live up to their potential, you can have a dynamite offense. Are you excited with what you've been seeing out of those guys?
Well, out the for you, yeah. I mean, there's some excitement there. Yeah, absolutely. Because their potential is their upside is huge, and I
Yep.
think I said that last year. Like Courtney, he's became a great leader this year. Little Sturtevant, number 10.
Yep.
He's taking the bull by the horns and he's trying to do things the right way. He works a job. He works basically a second shift job. So, and we have early morning practices, and he gets up, comes to practice, and we start back lifting weights. He may come in a few minutes late. He's like, Coach, I worked last night. As long as you get your work done, son, that's all that matters to me right now. So I'm very pleased with him. The Griffin kid, I'm gonna say this. He could be a difference maker. I'll be honest with you. He can be a difference maker. The little kid, uh, he can definitely help widen the field, if not stretch the field, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
So I think we just have to see how things play out. I know staying healthy is a part of that, and we'll just see what happens that first jamboree because they're going to be tired. And they go right back Friday and they have to do it again. And that's what I mean by uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We ain't letting grass grow up on our feet this year. We got to move. And it's not because of anything other than the fact that I know they can do it if they choose to do it.
Right. The talent we saw last year, we saw flashes of it. We last year we saw what they can do when they fulfill their potential.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that pisses me off is that, we still picked at the bottom of the conference, and they're like, wow, they love us, and to me, that's a chip on my shoulder. Uh, like I tell you guys always, I get up at 4:30 every morning to go open that weight room at 5:45.
Right.
And if my work doesn't mean anything to anybody outside, those guys that are in that room with me every morning, Monday through Thursday, they know what it means to me because I'm not just opening up for them. I want them to see me work too, and this year I've taken a different role as far as with coaching. Those coaches that I have, I mean, I think they've done a great job as far as preparation, running practices and all that stuff. And I'm just maneuvering myself around the field, making sure everything's intact. They're doing a great job. Now the kids have to do their part. The adults have gotten uncomfortable and they have accepted that role. Now we need those guys, all players, not just those 4, but everybody else that has that jersey on to go out there and do what we need for them to do.
I was gonna ask this question. Starting off, I know the first game you're going back to a familiar place.
Yeah.
Tell me about the energy from this that you've been getting so far, because I've heard a little buzz and rumors about some negative light and all this stuff. What's your thoughts on the first game?
Well, my thoughts there, I'll be honest with you, to us, it's another game, and it's our first game, but we want to start the season off, 1-0. But make no mistake, they're going to be a formidable opponent. They're big, they're going to be talented. I know they have a new head coach, which I know him well. He coached up under me, but I mean, we got to go there and take care of business. I'm not going for a picnic. I'm not going for a family reunion.
No video board.
One reason at all, and that's to come back with a victory. And at all costs, we're going to do I want them to do what we're supposed to do because I want it to be important, being it's the first game of the season.
I like them as a first game opponent too, and I don't mean that as disrespect to them. I mean that as respect to them because I like when we play. I like when we play formidable opponents.
Yeah.
I think one thing I saw they won about 6 games last year, so we know they're formidable.
Yeah.
And I think I like for us to get a test early.
Yes, sir.
No disrespect to the Cabarrus County Stallions, but sometimes I know that was beyond our control. We were supposed to play Mountain Island.
That's right.
But sometimes a situation like that where where you're because, and I'm not disrespecting Cabarrus County, but they're undermanned. They didn't have many players.
I understand that. Well, it's a false positive. Let's be honest. It's a false positive. Yeah.
Right. So you win that game 44-7. Sometimes, like you say, I love the terminology you use. It creates a false positive. Like I said, if we do what we're supposed to do and we defeated North Stanley, I will feel better because I know we're playing against a solid opponent. And
that's right.
And the same thing.
That builds confidence.
Yeah. I'll feel much better than I know. Like, hey, like we're playing against formidable opponents, and we can see significant improvement. Was that your process when you were scheduling North Stanley?
Well, I didn't really schedule North Stanley. I'll tell you it was supposed to be at a later date. But when I seen them on the schedule, I take it. Let's see what we got. I know they're going to be big and athletic. I know they're going to be well coached. Chad Little, he's going to do a great job. I mean, he's a business owner. He's not in the building, but he's a business owner. He does a lot of things the right way, and he's going to have them ready. Now we have to make sure we do our part on our end. So, if we go up there and beat the North Stanley, I know we have taken a step forward.
Okay. I also was looking at the schedule. I think the conference has changed from this year to last year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's right.
Piedmont.
Excuse me.
So they dropped from what? Wasn't it 4A?
Yeah. 4A to 3.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Middle of realignment, they dropped from 4 to 3.
Yeah. So
beat them last year, but go ahead.
Yeah, beat them last year, but this year it's for conference. So I like that. I've been looking at the schedule, and like I said, man, I like the chances. Like I really do, especially with the talent that you got from the spring. I can tell that those guys, they got it. Like it's not just saying it just because you can see talent when it's there. It's there.
Now with that talent, the discipline, the will, and all those things that we've been trying to instill since the spring, it has to manifest itself, because like today at practice, we had a bunch of mistakes, and once again, if you're going to be uncomfortable, we're going to be uncomfortable, so they had to pay for those mistakes. And what I liked about it is like Lil Courtney and those other guys, Kendrick, I think they try to do a good job as far as, corralling the guys. Look, man, let's go. Not blaming anybody else.
Yeah.
Look at me. You know what I'm saying? Look at coach. Make sure we don't make, what I'm saying? So we're doing things to try to make sure we minimize mistakes, especially at practice. Because if we do it at practice, it should translate into the game.
So sense of urgency.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This, like I said last year, I will say this, and I say this a lot. That defense created a lot of turnovers.
Yes, they did.
They created a turnover in every. They had
every game.
They forced at least one turnover in every game, and including the playoff game last year. That's opportunistic defense. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Nick, but that point you're making just hit my heart. If that offense can protect the ball and not give the ball right back to and throw the defense right back on the field again, I want an explosive offense, but if that offense can just be adequate and protect the football, that defense will keep you in ball games. Like a prime example, speaking of Piedmont, we played Piedmont last year. I always said that was one of the most efficient games you played. You won that game 26-6. That game was not an offensive explosion, but your defense played a great game and your offense minimized mistakes.
That's right.
And you end up, that was a ground. It wasn't a pretty game. The game wasn't sexy, but you ground it out and you end up with that game 26-6. This team, because we know at the beginning of the season, it always takes offense a little longer, even with an explosive offense, to catch up to defense. If they can protect that ball, they could grind out games like that 26-6, 19-7. As long as you win the game, I don't care if you win the game 10-9. I just want to win.
Well, that's where I am. I want to win, and I think the guys I know that the guys that have been there, they want to win as well. We just got to get the chemistry right, make sure everybody's in the right position, and just go out and play football. That's the fun part. Hell is Monday through damn Thursday.
Right. And I hope the mentality there's no such thing as an easy victory. I mean, you got to play who you got to play. We learned that last year with Albemarle. That looked like and I love Richard Davis. So no disrespect by the statement, but I'm talking about just on paper that looked like that should have been a one-sided game and started out that way. That was a game we played with our food and we almost lost it, but we still found a way to win it. That game there should be a reminder that the urgency is needed no matter who the opponent is, because everybody got 11 guys lined up on there. And if they got 11, they got just a good chance to win the shooting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. You know, that Almar game was it stressed me out a little bit, you know, because it stressed me out a little bit.
A kickoff return that got muffed, that bounced right in the right place. I don't know if you were praying or God was on your side or what, but that was the luckiest stuff I ever seen, but it still counts as a win.
Yeah, it's definitely God. Yeah, I agree, you know, so but we're trying to move forward, you know, and I want them to have that reminder, but we don't need to dwell on that game too much or those other games.
But I want to go back to not that game in particular, but we're speaking on that defensive part where I said they created turnovers.
Yeah.
A game that the offense, you kind of didn't go the way you wanted to. That Pinecrest game, that was a game that I looked at was like, okay, they for real. Because that Pinecrest team wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I think the defense just got tired.
They just had so many more bodies than what we had. And, you know, look, wanting to win the game, probably couldn't win the game because they had droves of guys that they can throw at us, and we only had our 22 or 24 guys, wherever that number was. You know,
but they stuck around it, and that's what I like.
Yeah. And I think the defense. I mean, you know, we've made some changes in some positions. If those guys respond well, I think they're going to do well at their new positions, and we'll let that come out once the first game starts. You know, but I'm excited about it.
Oh yeah. Definitely excited about that. I wanted to get into you got another question, Tyrell? I got that.
Nah, go ahead, man.
So this year, I wanted to see how as far as like how did the camp like start mini camp? Like how did everything come together as far as mini camp?
Mini camp went well. I mean, we were there with Millbrook from Raleigh and Hunter Huss out of Gaston County. And, you know, they were huge. We had 44 guys and they had 75 and 89, you know, and we did everything we can do that was within the rules that we can do as far as joint practices.
Right.
And I think the guys competed really well, you know, still made a lot of mistakes, because we had some guys that hadn't been there but about 2 or 3 days before we went to mini camp. But I really feel like they competed really well. So mini camp to me was a success.
Okay.
Yeah. We went to Catawba as well, you know. Coach Tyler, God, I can't even remember his last name now, at Catawba. He welcomed us there and he took care of us. He did a real good job with us.
Okay. Yeah. I was saying what you said about the roster with having a lot of freshmen that you said you were excited and applauded the parents about bringing those freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, I think is a good thing. And I wanted to say, because if you can get them now while that mindset is locked in at that point,
yes,
that is something that'll get the wheels turning.
Yeah, and let me give you something to laugh about for real, and I apologize for cutting you off.
Oh, no, you good.
Yeah. Our JV offensive line towers, and I do mean towers, our varsity offensive line.
So you talking about over 6'2", 6'3" type stuff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was about to say, you might need to use all 8 of those quarters.
Well, I don't know if they're ready for varsity yet, you know, but I'm telling you now, if those kids get in the weight room and stay in the weight room, and they stay the course, is what I keep saying every day to all of our players, that JV team, that freshman sophomore team, they could be damn good. I mean, just from size alone, and then if they get the strength and the understanding of what we're trying to do down, I think they can be pretty damn good, because they're athletic.
And like a lot of people understand, no matter what you got a skill position, if nobody's blocking, it's not going to matter. Because it's always funny, and I'm a fan, we all do it. Sometimes we sit there like, what kind of call was that? Why would you call that on this? I'm like, well, if nobody blocked, it doesn't matter what they would have called. It's still not going to work.
Yeah. And the offensive line, you know, the varsity offensive line has done a better job this year. I really think that offensively we may not be as big, but I think they're going to be able to do the job, get the job done. You know, now the next thing is going to be our twos, and our two's going to have to be probably some 10th grader that's going to be 8 quarter, to be honest.
I mean, you're working with what you have. I mean,
that's it. I mean, I tell everybody, nobody's transferring in here, guys. So all we can coach is what we have in front of us, and that's what we're taking care of. Those guys that we have in front of us, nothing else. We're not looking for anything from the outside because we know how everybody feels about us. You can tell that.
I feel like that. Like you said, I'm sorry.
Sometimes the in-house love ain't there, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, I take it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The 8 quarters. That's why I say I like the concept of that, because you got those guys young like that. Yeah. You getting them ready for something, they'll be ready.
Yeah. And that's more of a science, because you don't want to fill that roster up the first few games, and you have a kid that comes along game 5, 6, and 7, but we can't 8 quarter him without making a decision whether he's varsity or JV. So, we've got to be very meticulous in how we 8 quarter guys, because I don't want our 10 guys up front, if that makes sense. I want to make sure
I don't want to have to forfeit effort.
I'm sorry?
I said, and I don't want to have to do a forfeit because you accidentally lost, like if someone accidentally lost track of how many quarters a guy played. And
that better not happen. That won't happen. Coach Hyde and Coach Allen, myself, and a new coach, Coach Pickett, and Coach Pons, we'll be on top of that number. And that number, those names won't change once we get to 10, if that makes
Coach
sense.
Pickett came from Piedmont, right?
I'm sorry?
Coach Pickett, is that the gentleman that came from Piedmont?
No. Pickett played for us here at Anson. He played for us in 16. I think.
Yeah, okay. I met a coach that played for Coach Hyde at Piedmont. I think it's going to help you guys.
Porter Ridge, Coach Blackwell, Dylan Blackwell. Okay. He's doing quarterbacks, yes, sir.
Okay, we met him at the spring game. I just couldn't think of his name.
Yeah, it's Dylan Blackwell. He's a new guy. Other new guy would be T.J. Howard. Then we have Addison Cord. He's going to be a new guy for us as far as coaching staff, and thank God we're able to get a couple more positions back as far as paid positions as a coaching staff.
Shout out to Coach Jordan. Appreciate you, buddy. Shout out to Coach. Appreciate you, my buddies.
Yeah, and Mr. McClain, thank you, sir.
And Mr. Howard McClain, our superintendent. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So you got about 9, 10 coaches.
Nine.
And plus you, that makes 10. You know what? I think we're gonna be all right this year. That makes me. You don't know how much that worried me, wondering, because I always felt like this. I said, if the man ain't got a staff, how can you expect him to succeed?
Yeah.
And by the way, and I don't think Coach Jordan minded. I even said that to Coach Jordan myself. I said it to him when we were at that place up there in Winston-Salem for the playoff game.
Oh God,
Southeast Surrey or whatever.
East Surrey,
yeah. When I was just having a candid conversation, I had a candid conversation with him, and I said, my friend, how can you expect someone to be successful if he doesn't have the resources?
Yeah, right. Well, we have improved on that this year, and I do applaud those 3 gentlemen, for making it happen, and
working together, man.
Yeah, we're gonna try to. Hey, we're gonna make the best of it. We're gonna. Hey, look, it's time to go. We've been working.
We're all orange. We're all orange.
Yeah, other than my black shirt today,
I'm orange. Yeah,
you got orange.
I got orange boxes behind me.
I was gonna say that, but I'm like, that look Virginia Techish to me.
Yeah.
It's Martin. It's Martin and Gina.
Yeah, look, I'm a Martin fan, baby. Yeah, I can live with that.
It's just Martin and Gina. But I wanted to get into the camp that you had with Timmy Horn. Tell me how that experience was. I seen a lot of pictures, seems like a lot of youth turn out for that.
Yeah. It was a surreal moment for me, and with him playing for us here, playing at Anson, and coming back and putting on his own camp, very special. And at the end of that camp, he gave me his jersey that he said he had his only sack in last year, had one of his best games in. He gave that to me. I got it framed. It meant the world to me, and I think it meant the world to the community, because, as you said, we had a lot of kids come out, and most of them from outside of Anson County, and they really enjoyed themselves, because it was a camp that, we can't host because we can't do the one-on-ones, but he did, and he was able to with his his legal team, and I can't wait the next year to see it again. To be honest with you, and I want to say this to go with that. A lot of the guys that have played for us here at Anson are doing something that I always ask of them to give back to the community. Malcolm Wilson, my son, Jaden Dickens, Pickett coming back coaching. I felt like when I got here, honestly, it was a mission, and it still is a mission. But I get to see some of the fruits of my labor because those guys bought into and they listened and they heard what I was saying. It is about football, but it's more about life and touching somebody else. And I don't know if I ever told you guys before at the end of every practice or at the end of the game, I always yell out "good man," and they say touch two. So I want them to take that with them wherever they go, because it means something to me.
Right.
Yeah. So forgive me for getting on my soapbox, but it does mean something to me.
No, I mean
I totally
pure emotion. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine, man. Like I said, I'm excited to see stuff like that coming around here. To get that. I want to say it like this, to get that negative light.
Yeah.
They've been painting on this place, because this is not a bad place. It never was a bad place.
It's not, but I tell the guys, I told them this Monday. But if you're a black male from 18 to 30, you need to get out of there before you come back. You need to see something different. Maybe you can bring something different back with them. But staying there, we just got to open up resources. We got to find something for the youth to do consistently, other than stay in those little neighborhoods and get indoctrinated those things. So that's where we're losing them at.
We would love to have Mr. Horn on the show if he has some free time to ask him about things with it.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely ask him. It'd have to be after his season more than likely.
Yeah.
Right now they're ginned up. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work something out with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Terry, got another question?
Yeah. Speaking of that, when you're trying, and I think we mentioned this over last year, when you're trying to mold these young men and show them what they can be, when they see Tim Horn, when they see and or hear about Stephon Anthony, I know this guy didn't play for Anson, but when they see or hear about Antonio Williams, these are guys you either coach or guys who play here for the program who reach the pinnacle of their craft. Mm-hmm. To me, that shows credibility to you and shows credibility to our program. Yes. Does it resonate with the guys like, hey, if I do what I'm supposed to do, that this can be me?
Well, I think with social media, it doesn't resonate, because what they're looking at is like at Forest Hills and Monroe and all these other schools that have the same demographics. Those kids are getting offers. And I was talking to one of my former coaches today. He was talking about one of our players that, coach, this guy can play anywhere, and be an All-American. I said, well, you have to understand where you are now. He's in Mecklenburg. They have a market, and they lump, they have just annexed Union County into Mecklenburg County, because of the athletes they have as well. But we're so far out that nobody's going to get on their pony or their horse and buggy and come see us right now. So I keep telling those guys, we got to play with great motives. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can play, they're going to find you. But what we've done consistently, we haven't played like we need to play consistently. That's why we are where we are right now with no offers, guys. Right. But if you really want to offer, you bust your ass in that weight room and you get on that field and do what you're supposed to do.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm gonna tell you what triggered that question, and I'm not gonna say. I can't remember who I heard say this, but it was someone who was mentioning either a son or nephew who plays on the team when they were mentioning why so often that the kids who are originally from Anson County end up playing in Union County, and the answer that was given when they were talking about they can get more exposure. The thing that bothered me about that, and I know I shouldn't expect a 16-year-old to always give a sensible answer, but I'm like, if they knew the history of the program,
yes,
Urban Meyer's been to this campus.
Yes, sir.
Charlie Weiss has been here. Lane Kiffin. We're talking about those kind of coaches. And I know this is 12 years ago, longer than that.
But it doesn't matter. I'm with you on that. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and Coach Hyatt can tell you firsthand because he coached him. When Stephon Anthony, ESPN had Stephon Anthony ranked as the #1 outside linebacker in the country, 5-star prospect, number 21 overall prospect in the nation, number 1 prospect in North Carolina, and you had people from USC all the way to USC. And what I mean by that is the University of Southern California,
Yes,
the University of South Carolina, Steve Spurrier and everybody else coming to this campus every week to watch him play. Not only did they come to watch him play, they came to watch Brandon Ellerby play. Not only did they come to watch Brandon Ellerby play, they came to watch Marcus Smith play. All 3 of those guys played major D1 ball. So I don't want to hear this that you can't get exposed just because you play advancing. When Barkwell Rivers, who graduated a year after me, when Virginia Tech auto schools came to see him, Trent Sturvin and Michael Bowman. So there's precedent for national media and for national Power 5 programs coming to our campus to watch our players. We just got to give them something to come see.
That's exactly. They got to perform. You know, stop looking for the outlet of, well, they ain't giving me the ball or they ain't doing this. No, that's not the call. That's not. If you touch the ball 5 times, you don't have any touchdowns. That's your fault.
Yeah,
because you don't have the will that they're gonna take it to the house. Does that make sense? Or the skill, whichever one it is. You know, if you touch the ball 10 times, you don't have 2. I take that personal.
And I say this too. Sometimes you don't need the ball to be seen.
No, I mean, show somebody how well you're willing to block downfield for your running back.
They look for that stuff.
Yeah, or the lineman, show that gonna coach that you willing to make your initial block. The guy gets upfield and you run up there knocking somebody out for your running back or quarterback. You know what I'm saying? At the next level. So all those pieces are a part of the puzzle. And,
I'll simplify. Be like Jalen Marshall.
Yeah, bingo. Hey, Mr. Utility, okay?
Yeah. Jalen Marshall did whatever he was asked to do.
Yeah, and never complain. You know, I love that kid. Every time I see him, man, I can't do it, but daggone hug him because he was a kid that put team first. You know, from picking guys up to understand that, okay, well, I may not be able to play this position right now, but what else can I do, coach? He worked on his hands. He was able to catch the ball. He was strong. He was fast. He was a team player. And right now we got another guy just like that, Leonte Little, who was a running back for us, coming out of 8th grade. But he was the biggest thing we had. And he's been playing left tackle for the last 2 or 3 years for us and hadn't complained, you know. So that's
he play tight end too, man.
I'm sorry?
I said I bet he can play tight end too since he already got that running skill.
Oh, he can run. He can absolutely run. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, he can play tight end. He can play linebacker. And he also plays defensive end for us. So real good kid. Has good grades. So my job is we got to find a place for him if he wants to go.
And see, that's the thing. Like I like how you said it. Like as far as like utility, like I like a lot of people, young kids don't know. Like high school, if you playing something there, you're not going to play 10 times out of 9 out of 10. You might not play that in college.
That's right. That's right.
But it's good to be a utility player because you'll know
other positions.
There you go.
Absolutely. I agree. I totally agree.
Let me ask you this, man. How many times have you grabbed that article with the 1994 Bearcats on it from like 29 years ago? And those guys look at that. When they see that, are they like in disbelief? Or like what was their reaction when they saw
that? I think they.
Well, to them, 1994 is like 1850.
I think they feel like that's Abraham Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? Did that really happen? Coach, is that real? You know what
it happened.
Yeah, I know it. No question. I know it happened. But what I'm saying is, I think it's so far-fetched for them to believe because what they've grown up in is a society or a time period where everybody says that Anson can't do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, even with Timmy, they know Timmy, but they don't think that they can ever beat Timmy. And that's why I'm trying to get rid of that mindset. And he's the closest thing to them. You know, he's tall. Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's put on the camp, but for some reason, it's easier for them to believe that, well, I can't do that because I'm in Anson. Damn it, he did it. And he's from Anson. You know, he went to UNC Charlotte, then
49
out. Yeah, absolutely. You know, no, but you know, so what I'm telling them is your track may be different, but if you're willing to work and stay the course, guys, there's no telling what can happen. If you don't make the league, get your degree. You know, Timmy got his degree and he made the league. So to me, that's a success.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Right. You won. That's the goal. You took your talents and you you utilize what you could do as a football player,
and that's what's going to change your life. The degree, the NFL stands for not for long, and I think I said it every time we talk, guys. And that's a short time period.
Yeah,
you understand that? But that degree, no one can take that away from you.
Yeah,
average NFL career is 3 years.
Yep.
Say again.
Average NFL career is 3 years.
Bingo.
3.
So, I mean, let's be honest, guys. It's great if you make it there, and I hope you have longevity if you do make it. But let's be honest, you can get hurt, you can get cut, and if you don't have a degree, what do you do next? Now you go right back to your corners that you grew up in, and you have nothing to do because most of those, I don't want to say it negative, but a lot of those guys can't get over the fact, especially if they play FBS football, that they're not getting that same exposure, if that makes sense.
No, we seen a prime example of that like a couple years ago as far as FBS. We seen that with HBCU, how they had brought the HBCU football.
Absolutely.
Nobody was looking at HBCU football.
No.
It became a nationwide thing. It took one person to get that out there and have
the vision. Yes.
Yeah.
And Dion was getting top level guys to come to Jackson State too. So you get number one. I know he left to go to Colorado with him, but you get Travis Hunter, number one recruit in the nation, to come play for Jackson State.
FBS team.
And another thing that bothers me, and this kind of piggyback on what we were talking about earlier, I don't understand why people think. I hate when people think where you go determines where you go, and I know that sounds like a double statement, but
no, it doesn't.
So you get what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Because to me, whether you're playing at North Carolina Central or whether you're playing at for the Texas Longhorns, if you're going to play in the league will find you.
The league's going to find you.
It will find
you. That's what they have scouts for.
That's right.
They're going to find you. There's always gyms out there. There's some dude that was a couple years ago. There was a D3 guy that got invited to the combine and ended up being like a second-round draft pick. So I mean,
was that
if you're good enough, you're going. Pierre Garçon went to Division III Mountain Union and was a starting wide receiver in the NFL for many years. So that doesn't. Of course, if you're playing at Southern California, you're going to be seen more than you're seen at whatever. But my point is, the people who need to see you will see you.
That's exactly right. Well, and all they're looking for is a motive. So can this kid play? You know what I'm saying? And I stress that to our guys. I mean, y'all athletic, but you don't play hard enough. We got to play hard for 48 minutes, and it has to mean something to you.
If you feel like you have given everything you got, win or lose, a person knows what they put out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I've given everything I got, I mean, I can barely walk.
Yeah.
That's the point. That
Nelson Rushing tells me that story all the time. He said, Coach, after some of our games in high school, all I could do is get to my dad's back seat and just lay down till you get home. He said, because I expended everything I had in that game.
Man, Nelson's a tough son of a gun. I remember, since we're going to go there, I got to tell you a story. I remember back in 2006, his senior year, he separated his shoulder completely out the socket.
He told me. I heard that story 1,000 times. Keep going.
I guess I guess he done told you, but
oh my God! In the weight room, that's all we talk about.
And then the next week against Richmond Senior High School, he started that game with a separated shoulder. We lost the game 12-7, and I know it's a loss, but if you lose to Richmond Senior 12-7, you know you had a heck of a team.
Done a good day.
Lost the game 12-7. He did everything. You held him to 12 points, with just a lot of things happened. If you ever talk to Coach Rooms, he'll tell you a lot of things beyond control happened in that game too. That's another story for another day. But Nelson Rushing, I've never seen a guy with a separated shoulder, and I mean he's ripping in the backfield. You do not run speed option against Nelson Rushing.
I love
you didn't have to worry about safeties coming down. He was gonna bust up in the backfield before the ball ever got pitched out. So you already know the story, so it took the fun out of it. But.
Look, we were in the weight room Monday before he went on vacation. And he talked about that then. And every time we start talking about injuries, Coach, man, my shoulder completely separated, Coach. I told him to tape it up, and I went out there and I played. And after the game, it hurt. But I didn't care about during the game because I wanted to win. And he's like, we didn't win, but I wanted to win, So, and now I'm gonna give him a shout out because he's in love. He's fell in love on me. Yes, sir.
Hey, Nels, don't get married and not invite me to your wedding, bro.
Hey,
I
you
know
better
that's
tell
right.
him that. I think he's gonna try to get. He's in love, man. He's smitten. Okay.
Nelson got my phone number. I'm gonna say, come on, man. But speaking of exposure, the same week that Nelson separated his shoulder, speaking of a TV exposure, Michael Bowman won WSOC Gridiron Great for that same game.
Oh,
The
wow.
point, yeah, he had 7 touchdowns. No, excuse me. No, he didn't have to. He had 5 touchdowns, but he had 200 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards in that game, and the count of 5 touchdowns. I know you don't hear much about Michael Bowman these days. I don't even know where he is. I mean, he graduated from East Carolina, so I'm not saying he's not doing well. It's just I don't know where he lives or anything like that. But
yeah,
that's one of the forgotten legends of our program. Michael Bowman, blazing speed, a running back, wide receiver, played at East Carolina. But speaking of exposure, and Coach Grooms, if you ever run into him again, he will tell you his last year at Anson, he had 3 FBS Division I guys. He had Michael Bowman, Barkwell Rivers, and Trenton Sturtevant. And if it wasn't for 3 torn ACLs, Trenton Sturtevant would be in the league. Trenton Sturtevant was all SEC. He was all SEC freshman at Georgia. So
yeah. Well, and Bowman won't be forgotten because his picture is going to be forever be up in the locker room, in the weight room, because he deserves to be there. You know,
absolutely.
I never met him. I'd love to meet him. You know, but
with that alumni night thing, do they still have that alumni night at, for one of the home games?
I have to look. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to lie to you. I'm not sure.
I understood. The reason I mentioned that because with that alumni night, that'd be a perfect time to actually, even if we have contact information from some of these guys, to send out invitations to these guys to make sure that they're like at a halftime ceremony. That'd be, I know you took 42 out of rotation, but it'd be nice to have a ceremony for 42.
I agree.
It would be nice to I forgot what number 10 wore, 90 something back in the day. He wore 52 at Anson, didn't he?
10 and 55.
55, okay. Like, and I know you can't retire everybody's jersey, but I definitely want to see 42 retired, and just out of respect, I want to see 5 retired, just out of respect, you know. So,
hey, you ain't got to worry about 5. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think if we get that alumni night where we actually make it an event, just like homecoming is an event, that if we can promote that alumni night like it's an event, or even before the game start, bring out Cedric Holt, bring out Antoine Marsh, bring out Michael Bowman, bring out Barkwell if he ain't coaching Forest Hill, I can't remember, but bring out
he's not. Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to say he became an enemy for a little while, but and I respect Barkwell, so I'm saying that jokingly. But
he's a good guy, absolutely. Yeah.
Bring out Brandon Elver and some of those guys, and I think the more our guys see these people tangible in front of them, the more it could become a reality to them, to where they know this wasn't 1960 when this stuff was going on.
That's exactly
some
right.
Of this stuff was just 12, 13 years ago.
Yes, and I want you to remember, I think the Bowman guy's probably over that age, and I'm not quite sure. And
Mike should be like 34.
He should be 34, yeah.
Barkwell is how old?
Like 34.
30, yeah, 34.
As I said, 18 to 30 is what I said earlier, that they need to get out of Anson for those years. You know, 'cause right now, that's the age, in between those 2 ages, where we're losing all these young black males, okay?
Yes.
So they need to go do something differently to get out of this community. And it's always good to come back, because I promise you, I think it's a great retirement place. You know, if you grew up there, get out in the country, you can enjoy yourself, man. Get land at a reasonable price and raise a family. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. And speaking of that, I think Western Anson County is going to see a renaissance and a growth, and I think that's going to get you some more people in there to get us get our enrollment back up to where it need to be to get the jump a classification. Speaking of classifications or whatever, has that been decided, or are they going to split it into 6 classes in the next couple of years? Is that finalized, or?
I don't think it's finalized yet. I mean, I hadn't seen the final call
on
that.
I'm not crazy about that whole concept of splitting into 6 classes, because I just kind of like the way it is, just the 4. Either way, we got to do what we got to do, against whoever we got to do it against. But I'm sure that's your mentality.
Well, I think it broadens and it reduces the number of schools at each level. You know, and if you get in the right, you know, and I think we would be another 3A school if they did that.
Yeah, if we're still at 864, and we still got 864 around that range, we will fall in 3 into that 6 classification thing.
Yeah. So, but all that is going to be the new 2A and a 6A classification. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and then there's some like on the border, but
yeah.
But I got a feeling within the next 10 years, that area along the Anson Union County line is going to propel us and Forest Hill up a classification eventually. And I hope you're here to benefit from it, because
I would love to be.
Because you don't have the, like, when you look at that 1994 picture, and I hate living in the past, but when you look at the size of those guys on that picture, and the crazy thing about it, most of those guys are the fathers of these guys that you're coaching.
I can't believe that, because they look, we got a bunch. Let me tell you what they said at the camp. They said, "Coach, you got a bunch of small guys, but they real scrappy." I'm like, I mean, we got a bunch of 5'5", 5'6" guys right now that are 130 pounds that are freshmen. So other than those 12 or 13 big guys that we have on the line, we're pretty short right now. We're short, in height and stature.
Well, speaking of resources, it's looking like that's making a turn for the better. So I'm happy about that. And Nick and I was talking about this earlier. Have you ever met Coach Josh McLaurin? Are you familiar with him?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, having him in the capacity that he's in at our central office now, I think you're going to notice that's going to be a big benefit. I think he's a natural football mind.
Absolutely. Well, he's already paid dividends too. I think for the first time in a long time, I think we are probably about at full capacity when it comes to hiring certified teachers. So I think, he's coming in, hitting the ground running, trying to get people in the classrooms, because that's going to be vitally important for us as well. That classroom needs to be, I guess, controlled or run by someone that's certified that can actually help the kids out.
Right. And like I said, he comes from an administrative background at the state level too. So it is, to me, it's more like he just want to be back home, because
we're glad to have him.
I'm glad to have him too. And I think once you and him get to have some in-depth conversations, I think you're gonna realize you and him see things a lot the same way too. And I think just even in an unofficial capacity, just having him around as a voice that you can pitch ideas and stuff to, I think is going to be a big help, because I think I think the world of Mr. McLean. So I'm not saying anything negative there, but I think having him and Mr. McLean working together, I think is going to be a big benefit to you and your program.
Well,
that's my. I know Josh Barnes. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, two good athletic minds on top of that, and what Josh brings to the table when it comes to the weight room. I can always learn something from him or ask him questions, in which I hadn't had that opportunity thus far. But I hope in the near future, he and I will be able to get together and discuss some things.
You will. I feel like he's like, he's approachable. I mean, he'll be too happy. He'll be too, because he was the offensive line coach for many years. He coached he was Coach Hyatt's offensive line coach, and he was Coach McMahon's offensive line coach. He was Coach Groom's offensive line coach. He was Coach Davis's offensive line coach. So.
They've told me he was great at what he did, and the way he's doing things, I think he's going to be a huge asset to us.
And just like you and Coach Hyatt or whatever, he actually loves the kids and cares about the kids too.
Absolutely.
So when I found that out, I was excited, and that's why when I said to you, I was like, hey. Help us on the way, because I believe that,
I was like, this they don't understand. Like I was there when that man ran that I guess I ran but weight room and that stuff like that.
Oh, machine.
Oil machine. That's the right word to put it.
Yes,
you had people competing. That was one summer. I can tell you this story, and I seen it with my own two eyes. I think Jake's still the AD at Forest Hill. Yeah. Him and Ronald Sellers back and forth the same day, breaking that back. That it was a back press record and front press record. I don't know if that record probably still standing now.
It still stands. Yes, sir.
They did that in the same day, back and forth.
Really?
Not even an hour. God is my witness.
Wow.
I was there.
Yeah. Well, see, and it's still on the board, and I want to update that board as far as making it look better, where I'm coming from, because those accomplishments there, I don't think our guys, the new guys, that once again, I just don't think it resonates, because they don't think that those things are real. They think that somebody just wrote that up there on the board because, they wanted to. I'm like, no, that's work. That's effort. That's putting that time in, getting to where you want to be, reaching your goal.
Yeah.
So we got a ways to go when it comes to getting those kids, our guys, understand the importance of goal setting and doing the things the right way, as far as winning, if that makes sense.
Right.
Is that the most frustrating thing you have to deal with? Because you
Yes.
see the greatness you can see the
Yes.
greatness in these kids, and
Yes.
just like you are a father, so just like being the father in you comes out with like, I see the greatness in you,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
don't see it.
Yes.
Is that the most frustrating part of
It's
all of
it's
this?
extremely frustrating because, like during the spring, man, some of those guys that we have to count on, and they play other sports, and I'm gonna say it again, I support that. But like I told you guys earlier, all I want you to do is make sure you come to the weight room and get your lifts in. They'll find an excuse not to lift. Well, I got a game. Well, I said, look, guys, y'all are young. You recover before your game. I promise you that. You drink water, eat fruit, you're gonna be all right. Excuse me. But they'll come up with an excuse, and I end up having to, I'm not gonna say punish them, but have them to do certain things to make it right, if that makes sense. Because then they'll figure out, okay, he ain't gonna let me not lift weights, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my lift in. But we shouldn't have to go through that if you understand the importance of winning. If what you're saying you're doing is important to you, because the weight room is gonna help for football, basketball, baseball, soccer. I mean, the weight room is universal.
That's it.
It's gonna hurt you. It can't do anything but make you better.
I mean, like I said, that when I was in school, I used to love that. That was like the highlight of our summer. You ran football camp.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know, like ready for the school to end.
Yeah.
Football camp to start.
Yeah.
We knew it was gonna be rough, but guess what? We wanted it.
I'm gonna tell you, we as a staff, when we had 44 guys to sign up to go to mini camp, and all 44 showed up, that right there in itself was an accomplishment because, throughout the summer we had about 62 guys that were there. Not all at one time, but throughout the summer. You know where I'm coming from?
Right.
Then 44 to go to mini camp with us. I was like, wow. Then we come back, we pick up another, 28, 29 guys.
Yeah, when I talked to Coach Hyatt at the spring game, he told me that the numbers were higher than they've been in a while, as far as and because he felt at least at that time an optimism just with the numbers, because and he sung the praises of you too, by the way, of getting these guys out there. So I know you're gonna always speak from a coaching standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, I see good. I think that we can turn the corner. You got more coaches than you had. You got more guys than you've been having. I feel like the guys, they have something to play for.
Yeah,
I mean, they got something to play for.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're definitely trending in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't want to be all gloom and doom, but we're trending in the right direction. And a lot of people didn't like that I brought Coach Hyatt back, but like I say, I mean, Coach Hyatt's a good man. He's never done anything wrong to me, and I support him 110%.
And he cares about the kids. I mean,
understatement. What he does for the kids and for the program, is pretty impeccable. And then Coach Allen, who's the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach, I told him I wasn't gonna even shout him out because I cuss him out all the time. But he's another good guy. He man, they wear their heart on their sleeve when it comes to our kids. And to me, I want those type guys.
Ain't there Coach Turner too? I think I've met before.
Coach Turner's at the middle school. I coached him at North Stanley. He's the head coach at he does a good job.
I know. I'm just trying to think of guys I met. One thing about Coach Hyatt, what I'll say, is what people also got to understand. As far as when some of those glory days and stuff was happening, he was in the room.
Oh, he's like Nelson. He can tell all those stories, and I'm saying, like, man, how can you give an account of all that? Good God.
Yeah, he was
beginning.
Yeah, during that run where they won like 3 straight conference championships. 2 of those, he was the assistant head coach, and the last one he was the head coach. So I mean, no matter what how anybody feels about him, at the end of the day, he was a part of that culture. So you want to have somebody who was a part of that winning culture still associated with the program, that's tangible to the program. At least it lends credibility. And
Yeah. Well,
and the thing about it, he's a native son. He's not going to do anything deliberately to hurt you or anybody on that team.
no, no. Nobody can ever make me believe that. And if I was out of place by saying that, but I'm gonna say, you know, I don't live for other people. Okay,
Right.
so I don't. What you think and what I think are two totally different things. And
Right.
if nobody has ever wronged me, I'm gonna treat that person like God wants me to treat them.
Right.
Like I want to be treated. So therefore, we're gonna move forward. And he's offensive coordinator. He's gonna do a great job this year. I think that he's done a wonderful job this summer and all spring. So yeah, I mean, if I'm excited, I'm excited about for what he's bringing to the table, what Coach Allen's bringing to the table, uh, and a lot of other assistant coaches that are doing the things that I asked them to do. That's where I'm excited because they're in our kids' head. They're making them feel uncomfortable. So that's the good thing. And I'm the bad guy, but and I want to be the bad guy.
Hey, but good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know they talk the kids off a ledge for me sometimes, but I'm going to push you to the end of that plank if you're not willing to do what I asked you to do.
Well, the thing about it, if you didn't care, you wouldn't do those things if you didn't care about the kids.
That's
so,
right. But they know that they tell me that. You know what I'm saying? It's like if he stopped talking to you, that's when you better work. Until a young kid that the other day.
I want to get back into the.
And I'm done with my questions, guys. So I'm gonna let Nick do what he got to do. But
I'm sorry.
I do want to ask you another question, but I don't want to ask it on camera. So
Okay.
It ain't nothing egregious. It's just I just feel that because I don't want to do anything to insult anybody associated with the program. So just a question I just want to ask you about something that's not egregious, but I don't want to do it on camera.
Okay, I respect that. Thank you.
Again with the history, man. I know you've gotten the taste of like all the previous history. Like when you hear that history about this place yourself, what resonates in your mind as far as hearing the history of?
You about made me yell because what resonates in my mind is that I want to get us back there. You know what I'm saying? I want to return us to dominance, and and we've had some extenuating factors that have prevented that from happening, and it could have easily deterred me and pushed me somewhere else. But I feel like I was led here, and I'm willing to fight to stay here. And damn it, we're gonna get it right. We're gonna get it right.
Hey, when it happens, it's gonna be that much sweeter.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Woo! Like Professor Clump, wait 35 long years. Yeah. So that's just a little tag to Eddie Murphy there. But yeah, when it happens, it's gonna be bitter. It's gonna be very sweet, man. I'll be honest with you, because I know it's gonna happen. Because we're doing things that we're supposed to do for kids, and we're trying to do things for our community.
Right. And like I said, I appreciate the things that you're doing for the community. I say it every year, and I really mean that because, like I said, it's a lot of people that won't go out of their way to do happy things for these kids. They won't do it.
Yeah, well, the more we can get them out of their environment or communities and expose them to different things, everybody should be on board for that because a lot of our kids hadn't even been to the beach, or even been to Charlotte. So therefore, if we can get them on a college campus or get them in front of a college coach or get them to a combine, they're winning. We're not winning, they're winning because now they're gonna meet different kids. They're gonna see what other kids are, what other kids are doing to prepare to play football. Like I took some freshmen that are gonna be sophomores this year to the Wake Forest and North Carolina State camps. And the first thing I heard from one of those kids was like, "Coach, these guys are huge." I said, "Well, that's what you need to see. That's what work looks like." Then they start going through their position drill stuff. We got back on the bus, and that's all they talked about, what they did or how they felt like they competed or compared to those guys. I said, "Well, you got to remember, you're only a sophomore now. Most of those guys were juniors and seniors. So it's good for you to see that now. You make the decision how hard you want to work and where you want to be in the next 2 or 3 years."
And I think that'll resonate a lot, especially like you said, they're sophomore, freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
That exposure, like seeing stuff like that the mindset of motivation
yes
will kick in at
yes.
that It's kind of harder. Now, I don't mean that disrespectful. It's kind of
No,
hard to get a junior or a senior to get motivated than it is a freshman or a sophomore.
that's right. That's right. I agree.
And to piggyback over that, like last year, you started quite a few sophomores on varsity last year. I think getting our teeth kicked into these serving could still let them know, like, okay, we got to the playoffs, but if you want to be amongst the elite, like this shows like, hey, we ain't nowhere near where we need to be. This is like we're here, but to get there, this is what it's going to take. So I'm thinking a bunch of sophomores getting their teeth kicked in the first one of the playoff game could be a blessing in disguise long term.
Well, I hate to lose. Don't get me wrong, but you know, they're a team. So, and I agree with you. If it means something to the guys, that could be a leg up for us if we get back to the playoffs again, because they have a little more experience.
Right, and they know what it feels like. They know what it feels like. I'm not gonna say when you're outmatched, but when to play an elite opponent and not match up to them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So let's hope they don't forget. You know, and there's quite a few things in the last season that I don't want them to forget. And as I said, I'm not going to harp on it with those guys, but I will give them a slight reminder of, you know, you remember when this happened last year. We need to make sure that we fix it this year.
Right. Let's see. I was also looking at the schedule. We have what? Is it 4 home games this year or 5?
4 home games this year.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I said last year we had what? 8 home
games?
Yeah.
And all that happened because of cancellations and all those other things, because it was only supposed to be 5 or 6.
When Mountain Island caught COVID, we had had the Cabarrus County Stallions at home.
Yeah. Then we had Mount Pleasant, excuse me. Well, anyway, those games that got switched to our home place, you know, I was hoping that would be a plus for us. And it ended up not being. So maybe that's something that, you know, we can remember this year. Make sure.
Historically, Anson always played better than their white jerseys. So I mean, historically, so maybe that means something.
Yeah. Well, we're on the road. We're gonna find out this year. I said we're on the road. We're gonna find out this year. Yeah.
I like the concept of what they call road warriors.
Yeah.
Like Animal and Hawk.
Yeah, they take the road warriors, the Animal and the Hawk. Hey, go to somebody else's stadium and make it your home game.
Hey, and take over their set is what they say. The new kids say.
Man, one day you need to talk to. I hope you get to talk to Brett McElhaney. He used to be the running backs coach. He and Coach Henry. He and Coach Bernard Henry used to be running backs coaches down near Brett McElhaney. He's my friend on Facebook, but he would have some great stories to tell you about.
Oh, really?
When he last coached here in 2006. He was under Fred Davis, and he coached under Grooms. But one day, if you talk to Brett McElhaney, man, he could give you some stories and stuff too, man. I think you guys will hit it off immediately.
Well, link us up then. You know, make sure. I don't have him on Facebook. I love to link up with him on Facebook and see if we can make something happen, because I love to hear the history of Anson County. You know, especially Anson football, because it's
Brett McElhaney will have some stories for you. He's one of Coach Davis's guys, but he was here for some of them wins against West Charlotte and people like that in the glory days.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Coach Davis, you know, he come and picked me up today after practice and took me out to lunch out of nowhere. He's like, Coach, I want to talk to you, just see how you doing. You know, he took me out for lunch and had a great time, man.
Man, I'm glad to have him around. Like anybody Coach Hyde, Mr. McLaurin, anybody who's around that winning culture, I want them around the program, even if it's in an unofficial capacity, because just sometimes I feel like just their winning energy could rub off on the building.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've had Coach Davis come up and talk to the guys several times. You know, I love when he gets in and says, fellas. I
love when he gets talking like, I remember when big game James Kirby, he went in the middle and he said, guys, what the F are you doing? We got to get our ish together.
He said James Kirby came in and said,
Coach Davis, you watch this. I'm just having fun, man. You know I take the work with you.
Oh, absolutely. But he said, just give me the damn ball, Coach. And he said, Coach, that was the easiest coaching job I had. I gave him the damn ball. He had to do this right here. I love Coach Davis, man. You know, He's proven to be a good guy. I'll be honest with you, and he has a great thumbprint on Anson football.
And we enjoyed the commentary in the press box from last year.
Boy,
I enjoyed it.
Over
Hey, we
there,
went 3-1 with him in the press box. So
say what?
I said we went 3-1 when he was in the press
The
box.
press box.
Yeah, there you have it. Hey,
he was the rub and look like
yeah.
the people got into it when he was in the press box.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
you could feel that energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said it in the fun. Much love to Kevin Adams. He taught me in 10th grade. Much love to brother Steve Adams. Great ambassadors to the community who work tirelessly to unite the community. So
yes, sir.
I respect. I don't want to say the Adams family, but the Adams brothers. There we go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They do a great job. And Kevin is he's really exciting when he's up there too. You know, because he's the one to come up with touchdown. What do you call him? Jalen Marshall.
Touchdown, Jalen Marshall. Touchdown Marshall.
Jalen Marshall. He made that really animated. I love it, man.
Yeah, like I said, the commentary from both. I enjoyed both. You know, Fred kind of shocked when I was like, "Where's he going?" And then all of a sudden I heard him talking, and like for the next 4 games, it was just like, I like this. I'm here for this.
And you know it's hard to get football out your blood, and I know Coach Davis still has it in him, and you know he probably doesn't have all the time in the world to do it anymore, but we'd love to have him around the program like he's been, honestly.
Yeah, the fire burns. If you talk to him, you know you can tell the fire still burns.
Oh man, he's still sharp when it comes to football.
Yeah. He coached some of the best. I say, and it's no disrespect to anybody. He coached some of the best players I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
As far as high school football, they were considered the underdogs. If
you
believe it or not.
And the crazy thing about it, when Coach Emery became ill and had to retire, at least he was like Michael Jordan when it came to retiring. But when Coach Emery became ill and
I'm retired. I'm not
retired. Coach Davis was his handpicked successor, and at the time, Coach Davis was a 26-year-old defensive line coach, and he saw something in him. But he was right. I mean, it just and granted, one thing, we had more bodies back then. We probably had 1,600 kids when he first took over. It's just amazing how a socio-economic downfall beyond the control of a coach in the athletic department can dictate the entire success and or failure of an entire athletic department, and not just football, across the board. I mean, no disrespect to Coach Jordan, but like our football is struggling, our basketball is struggling, our baseball is not what it used to be. We used to be a powerhouse in baseball too.
Baseball.
Yeah.
It's like across the board. That's why it prouds me to see those young elementary school kids in that world make that World Series thing, because we needed something to cheer for.
Yes. Well, we needed something positive to happen for Anson County right now.
Right.
Yeah. I was with you. Yeah.
And that was real positive, regardless if they did not win it 3rd place in the nation.
Yeah. Well, they did win then, because they came from nowhere to
They won this. They were the best in the state. They're 3rd in the country.
Yes, sir.
That says a lot.
That says a lot. And to me, that's something to build on. Those are athletes that we need to make sure they stay here.
And don't forget about, I want to mention them too, the girls that do the cheerleading. They won nationals.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, I hadn't seen that. Okay, good deal.
Yeah, they
were coached by Mrs. Pickett, right?
Yeah, they do like the cheer, cheer. They won nationals.
Wow.
Yeah, they were on Fox 46.
Yep.
Well, I seen some screenshots on Facebook, but I really didn't look into it. But once again, that needs to be plastered all over Anson County. Billboards. It needs to be an Anson County environment right now. Those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to see positivity, because we know that people are getting arrested left and right. We know that the things going on that shed a negative light. We already know that. We don't have to be constantly reminded. We know.
Nah, I mean, we don't need that reminder, because if you're there, you're gonna see it automatically. It's and that's the disheartening part, because that's what makes everybody think or feel like Anson's a bad place. But if you meet these kids you know, they're not bad kids, man. They're not, and if you give them your expectations, most of the time they're going to try to reach that expectation, you
Yeah.
know.
And the thing what makes me happy about those two situations, these are kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are kids.
Yeah.
10-year-old kids, 10 to 12 at most.
Wow.
And they're the future.
Yeah, they need to be celebrated.
Yeah, I'm celebrating them. I get this is these kids deserve their flowers, and like I feel like they should get some kind of recognition.
Yeah, yeah.
Both of them, the girls and the guys.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great way to put it. They deserve their flowers. I love that.
They deserve their flowers, and if I got to give it to them any kind of way, I'm gonna give it to them.
Well, you know what? I need to find those screenshots. I need to go ahead and put those on my Facebook page right now. And shame on me. I apologize. I'm trying to do my best to get our guys where they need to be. We need to celebrate the kids. Yeah, it's about all sports.
Yeah. Tell everybody on the other side of the Rocky River about it too.
Yeah. Well, we want to deliver something else to them first, okay?
Well, we gotta go up there twice. Got to go to Albemarle and West Stanley. So
we'll be North Stanley, Albemarle, and West Stanley.
This is gonna be like a homecoming tour for you.
Hey, and think about this though. Every coach in Stanley County has coached under or with me, if that makes sense.
So you're the Bill Belichick of Stanley County.
I don't know about that.
You're Bill Walsh of Stanley County.
Yeah. Chad Little, Terry Schenkel, Richard Davis, and Brett Morton. I coached Brett Morton at West
Morton
Stanley.
Is at Pageland, right?
Say it again.
It's more okay. The guy at Pageland coached under you too, right?
Yeah. That's Shane. God knows. Shane. I can't even think of it. Yeah, Shane coached up under me. Yes, sir.
Okay. But speaking of Terry Schenkel, man, and that's I'm proud of that. That's like directly under you. I mean, like from his infancy stages as a coach, man. He was the offense coordinator in that stellar season that we had in 2019. I loved him as a play caller. Very aggressive. I mean, Wes Lanier didn't make his job hard for him, but very and Tyreek Hardison and your son.
DeQuan Sturgeon. Yeah.
But I know you're proud. Just a few years ago, he was coaching under you. He ended up going to Asheboro for a little while, right? Yeah. And now to come back to the house that he built, to come back where he's a legend, where he and Desi Brown and that big defensive tackle that went to Arkansas or whatever, I can't think of his name, but around that 2009 time when South Stanley had a squad. To see him back and the thing about it, I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to
I know will. Yeah.
In that Yadkin Valley Conference, I think they're going to make him. I mean, once he gives time to get the resources, I think he's going to make some noise in that Yadkin Valley Conference.
Yes, I think he's going to do really, really well, man. And I'm proud of Terry. Terry, biggest thing with me was he we used to call him late Terry because he wasn't very punctual. He has a business, so he was driving back and forth from his business to practice. And the first thing I told him when he took that job, I said, "Now listen, you need to make sure you're the first one there and the last one to leave, coach." "I got you, coach. I got you." And it's been nothing but fun for him since then because we went up there twice for 707 to go, to compete against him. And his guys are listening to him, and they're believing in him. So but don't focus on the wins and losses right now because you got to get your program started. You know where I'm coming from, and he understands that. And look, I can't wait. I know it's gonna be great things to come from him.
And they should listen to him. I'm talking about if there was a statue, there would be of him. When the guy when it's the guy on the statue, and I mean that metaphorically. When it's the guy that's on the statue that's talking to you, you have no choice.
You're gonna listen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I always liked him when I liked him. I like Quan. I like all those guys that you first brought in when you got here. So and I want to see them all do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm a fan of all of them. I pull for every last one of them. Look, even guys that we do play against in the Rocky River, I want them to win all their games except for one.
Hey, I told Jimmy Deese. I told you just already. I saw Jimmy Deese at I coached Jimmy Deese to be respectful. I saw him at UNC Charlotte at our spring game, and I saw him with a hoodie on that had Forest Hill on it. So I looked up at him and I said, "Yo," I said, "You're a Forest Hill Yellow Jacket." He said, yes, sir. He said, I'm Coach Jimmy Dees. And I said, I'm from Madison County. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, but you're a nice guy. So I'll tell you what. I said, I hope you go 9-1. I said, I just want that one loss to be at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Nah, very nice guy. Though. I was just giving him
he's a superiorly nice guy. I mean, Jamie's been very helpful. We talk, even without, when the season's not in, we've had conversations. We share a lot of the same values and ideas, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's gonna be an exciting season, and you know what? We will be recapping everything from the season. We'll be at the games too.
Good. Well, give us a chance to get going, because as we said, we got to get the chemistry right.
Yeah.
We got some guys that are just getting that it should have been there, and it's going to take some time, but we're going to fight. That's all I can say. I think the guys will be scrappy this year.
Like I said, everybody got to come and play. So
that's it.
Can't wait to see
the opponent feels like they want to take it easy that day.
Yeah. We got to find somebody, baby. Uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable. I like the model. That's why I asked. I was like, I like that model. I just want to ask him.
That's even good for careers and stuff. Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Never be content. You might need to get a pulpit with that one.
I don't know, man. Sometimes my mouth is a little potty mouth. I can't get in the pulpit right now.
You look like a deacon or something, man. You're a deacon.
Well, I appreciate that. My mom and my grandma used to say that, but I think life has made me a little tough around the edges, to be honest with you.
No, but I always felt like you were like a deacon or something, though. I always felt like you were a deacon or something. Are you like a deacon or something like that?
No. Well, no, I'm not a deacon. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, you give that aura, so that's why I threw that in there. So, I know you're a coach. We're all human. We're going to say things that can come off a little undeacon-like, but you still have those values of a deacon. That's why I thought you were one.
Yeah. You're a preacher. My wife said I'm a preacher.
Hey, make sure he don't abandon his calling.
Yeah. Coach, man, we appreciate you for coming on. We will have some more time to do the season recap or whatever. We're trying to, like I said, we wanted to keep this going because I personally like doing this. It's like one of my favorite parts of the year to do.
I enjoy it.
And like I said, we started the thing last year. It was the idea that you came up with, and we ran with it. As far as like recapping all the games. So
I love it. Yes, sir.
I appreciate that, man. And like seriously, like we here 100%, man. So we're gonna try to do as much as we can to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Let people know where we at, where we from, and
that's right.
How
and
things
all we can to make you guys proud, man. I definitely want those guys to know that our giving back is giving our community victories on Friday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach, we appreciate you for coming through. And appreciate everybody that came through tonight to check out the interview. The playback will be up after the live is over. And like I said, share it out, hit that like button, man. We're trying to get this out there. We
hang tight 1 second, because there was something I want to ask you when we stop recording.
I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. So yes, anyway, Coach, I appreciate you for coming. And y'all, we'll see y'all next time.
Thank y'all for having me, guys.
No doubt.
Yep.
And hang on.